Welcome to Monday, believe it or not, the last day of March 2025. This DayWeather podcast brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's railroad heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope legend. Glen Rock boasts scenic trails, dinosaur history, and small town charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. Well, we're going to start off this last day of March and into the first days of April pretty soupy. So we're going to have scenes like this with daffodils out in the sunshine and other scenes of white, as I'll show you here in a minute, as we have a disorganized trough of low pressure. It's a very large area of low pressure over the west. It doesn't have a real organized center. It's got little pieces, kind of like what came in this past weekend, little pieces of that big storm that was off the west coast. So what'll happen is the precipitation will be disorganized. You'll get islands of wet and white, islands where you may not get very much. It just kind of is going to be whether or not you're lucky or not in terms of picking up the precipitation. But there's going to be a wide area between now and Wednesday where off and on rain and snow is going to be moving through the western United States through midweek. Obviously, this is going to result in a much different scenario. Last week, all those 70s and 80s and springtime conditions. Well, certainly you felt the colder weather this weekend, and it will be much cooler all week. Now, there's another storm late in the week that we need to watch. It really isn't showing up as much. Certainly, it's not showing up much in forecast, but we'll just kind of have to monitor the situation because a potential cutoff low pressure system may develop late in the week and next weekend, the weekend ahead. But we'll see what happens. If it doesn't get cut off, it won't be much of a system, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. In the meantime, let's go through some beautiful photos. Beautiful shot there before the clouds thickened up and the weather changed over the weekend, taken on Friday by Jan Curtis and Cheyenne. Beautiful clouds, and now lots of snow photos. Just classic spring snow across a lot of the region, depending on your altitude. You were above 6,000 or 7,000 feet, or maybe in some areas, snow levels got down to as low as 5,000 feet over the weekend. And that spread a wide variety of snow, fog and snow, like you see there on Highway 130 coming back from the snowy range. Then into Sinks Canyon area, really good moisture over in central and western Fremont County from that upslope pattern, pushing some snow, good amounts of snow and high water content snow. Also some fresh snow up in the mountains above Bozeman. And the Tetons, fresh dump of snow up there and a beautiful cloud formation there on top of the peak, as you can see right there. And then back into the Sinks Canyon area, that's just a nice, wet, sticky spring snow that settles into the ground and gets soaked up. And on the other side of the Tetons, into Teton Valley, Idaho, more wet snow there, and downtown Lander at the bakery, a little bit of wet. That's just a classic spring scene there, and up into the Black Hills as well with rain and snow over the weekend. Down in New Mexico, well, unfortunately, where they really need some rain, it was windy again. As lows go north in New Mexico gets windy, leading to a very hazy sunset there. And speaking of sunsets, a sunset there in southeastern Wyoming, northwest of Cheyenne. Now, an important thing here in this photo, not only is it pretty here, but it's pretty here. Look at the rain gauge. That's right. So one quick reminder about the rain gauge rally. It ends today. I want to thank everybody that signed up. There's been a lot of new signups in Wyoming and other surrounding states. And to take part in just this fun event, if you can sign up before today is over, your number will be counted in the rain gauge rally. And this is just an example of not only by you volunteering, but going to this website. And you can go to this website and not be a volunteer. It's a plethora of great information. This is just an example of looking at the volunteers across northeastern Wyoming and western South Dakota here to where we got rainfall reports from over the weekend. So you can see the cumulative amounts of rain here in Weston County, parts of Campbell County, pretty good. Nice rain. You wouldn't know it without this volunteer network because the official reporting stations that are going to give you the most accurate are only here and maybe Buffalo if the weather station's working. So this is how you find out what happens in between the bigger cities because people volunteer. Here are the current standings. Minnesota still has both, one for per capita, one for station count, but Wyoming is climbing up the leaderboard. And look at this, within striking distance. Minnesota keeps signing them up, but if Wyoming can sign up another 6 or 7 more, it's going to be a close call at the end of the day to maybe Wyoming getting the second, go from second to first place in per capita. It doesn't matter where you are, and you can do this at any time of the year. Volunteers are needed in any state, anywhere across the United States. If you want to sign up and have the time and want to be part of the volunteer network, go here to sign up. Now you can just go here, but if you want to type it all out straight to the application, you can go there. Surface map this morning shows a big low up into the upper Great Lakes. We have the stationary boundary right here stacked up against the Continental Divide, and we have more waves of energy and moisture coming off the Pacific overrunning this boundary. And what we're going to see is this disorganized mess right here just come into the western United States. Notice there isn't a big curl or a real organized system, but there's areas of moisture and energy and patches of moisture that are basically coming in overhead. And this has led to a lot of winter weather advisories for Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Utah here. So the high country is going to be in good position to pick up some nice wet spring snows again, as well as the Sierras. The pink down here, more wind and more fire danger for New Mexico, West Texas, and southeastern Colorado. This is what it looks like on the 500 millibar chart. Here comes this fractured low coming on in, strong jet stream energy with this. So this all comes in through the course of the next 72 hours. So by the time we get into noon Wednesday, it looks like this. We'll have a piece break off and go south, a piece go north. This is good news for North Dakota. You might finally get a decent shot of precipitation out of this. But it's not a well put together low. It's broken apart. So when you split the energy, you're not going to have a big storm, but you're going to have an extended period of cool and wet over a large area. And this is the precipitation pattern between now and Thursday at noon. So between this morning and noon Thursday, you can see some needed precipitation coming up here for Montana as well. Scattered precipitation for Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Colorado, and Utah. Nothing real heavy, but we'll take every little bit that we can get. You can see the heavier precipitation there in the Sierras and Northern California as that moisture comes inland. So this gets us through Thursday. And this is what the snowfall looks like. So a wet spring snow for the northern plains up here. Still more snow for the mountains, but also getting down into the higher elevations of Interstate 80 and I-70 across Colorado and up along I-90 as well. So travelers keep that in mind. Now, by the end of the week, this is where we have a lot of, let's say, questions on what's going to happen at the end of the week and over the weekend. This next low comes in, and there's another piece of energy that wants to come in and fill up this low a little bit and then potentially cut off. But right now, all of the model solutions basically keep this area as one low pressure system, just a very oblong one stretched out over a lot of latitude. However, a lot of times what happens is this energy here will end up down here, and you'll have a more organized area of low pressure down here. And the European model is showing that by Saturday morning. But at the same time, it doesn't really get it cut off, and it ends up heading east. So what I'm doing here is showing you that the forecast by the end of the week and the weekend is something to keep an eye on, because as long as we have that low here, we'll have a cool, moist air mass overhead and the potential for more precipitation. We'll just have to see what develops. In the meantime, hopefully you can get some more precipitation. Be ready for a cool, occasionally damp and unsettled week ahead. We'll see you Tuesday.